Well, hello there. Welcome to the Friday acrylic pouring demo. I am so happy you could join me today. I hope you had a great week. Happy Friday to you. Hopefully you'll have looking forward to a great weekend. But before we get there, let's do a painting. Let's see what we can create tonight. So I'm going to be doing something a little bit easier than last week. Last week was a disaster. It did not turn out very well. We kind of salvaged it a bit, but still not very good. So I'm going to go back to one of my tried and true, one of my favorite techniques tonight. I'm just going to be doing a relatively simple floating cup pour. I've mixed up an interesting color palette. It's very, hopefully it'll be very dramatic. We'll find out. It's a very monochromatic palette with a lot of blues, really, really dark blues, and two lighter colors. So I'll show you all the colors, what I mixed up. They're all kind of custom mixed colors, but I'll show you exactly what I did. And I'll talk about the mixing formula I use. I'm using my Liquitex formula tonight. So I have my Liquitex pouring medium right here. So I've added that into all my paints. I'll talk about that, tell you what my recipe is, and we'll layer a cup. We'll do a base coat. We'll dump all that paint on there, let it float around a bit, and hopefully get something really, really cool. So that's the plan anyway. Welcome everyone. Hey Susan and Monique and Carla. Hey Pat and Jeanette. Welcome everyone. Hey Jorge. So, all right, cool. And Donna is here as well. Fantastic. So let me throw you over to my other camera and let's take a look at the different colors we have mixed up and are going to be working with tonight. So let me jump over here. So we're going to be working on a 16 by 20 canvas, and I've got these four really dark blue colors. One of them looks very black. There's actually black in all of these colors. So it's very, very dark color scheme with the blues, and then I've got two lighter colors right here, and that's going to add some contrast and some interest, and all of these light colors will also lighten these blue colors up. So it should be hopefully a very interesting painting. I've been working a lot with blue lately. I love blue and I use it a lot, but these are somewhat unique blues. So let me show you what I've done here. So our first blue, it's a very deep blue. It's a phthalo blue with some black added to it, and you get this beautiful, really, really deep, it's almost known as a Prussian blue, a very dark, rich, deep blue. I'm trying to think of another word for it, but Prussian blue is pretty close. So it's a beautiful color. And right in the middle here, we've got actually two colors. I mixed some metallic cobalt blue and some phthalo blue together. More of the metallic cobalt because the phthalo blue is a really powerful color. It's a very powerful blue. And also a little bit of black in here. So it's a very dark, more of a green blue. So it's like a metallic green blue. And it's the value is darker because of the small amount of black added. And the black I'm using is just my Artist Loft Flow Acrylic Black. And so finally, this third one here, this is the darkest of all three. There's more black in this one, but it's a metallic blue, so there's plenty of this, and a little bit more black. So this one's a much darker, almost black color, but it does have a little bit of blue and some metallics in there. So if this does get lightened with our lighter colors here, you will see some blue in there. It's not just pure black. And this over here is our base coat. And for our base coat, I also mixed up, it's also Liquitex formula. I have two blues in here. I've got our phthalo and our metallic blue in this one. And of course, a little bit of black as well. So it's a nice, it's almost a greenish blue as well. This is kind of different hues, different shades of blue. And you might be wondering why so many different blues. Well, it's just to add interest, subtlety with the colors. And when they dry, you will notice these different shifts. Plus, they will get lighter and blended together with our lighter colors. So that's the dark colors I'm using, so there's 4 of them. Let's talk about these lighter colors down here. I'm going to move these off to the side. So we've got 2 here. We've got this kind of middle value silverish gold color, and this one is actually a mixture of 24K gold and Deco Art silver. So these are both Deco Art colors. There is more silver in here than the 24K. So it's a beautiful kind of champagne gold color. I really love this color. This is looks like a white. It's got a lot of white in it, but it's also got some pearl. So it's got some Deco Art pearl in there, as well as Artist Loft metallic white. So it's a very light, basically a white color, but it is got a beautiful pearly sheen to it. So those are our light colors, and these light colors are going to mingle around with our blues and create some hopefully very unique shades of blue, and we'll get some interesting cells perhaps, and we'll have some wonderful gold in there hopefully. So that is the plan. It's a very simple yet kind of complex color palette, and you don't have to get this complex with it if you don't want to. You could try this same type of color palette. You just use a black and use a couple blues and do something very similar if you wanted to. So hopefully we'll end up with something really beautiful and fun. That's always the goal. So let's move these aside. I'll tell you what my formula is here. This is my Liquitex formula, and I use it quite often. I wrote it down just to remind myself, but it's 3 parts Floetrol, and all these paints are mixed the same. 3 parts Floetrol, 2 parts of the Liquitex pouring medium, 3 parts of paint, and then also water to get them to the proper consistency. And we're using my number 3 consistency, which is a slight mound consistency. So the paint forms a slight mound when it drizzles off the stir stick back into the cup of paint. And that is pretty much it. It's a very simple formula. The Liquitex is I like using it because it creates kind of crisper lines, sharper lines. It helps in generating cells along with the Floetrol. And we do have the 24K in here, so that's going to help with some cell development too. Hopefully it doesn't go crazy, but we'll find out what happens. So, and if you don't have the 24K gold, you could always use just a regular silver and a regular gold if you want, like the Liquitex gold and silver, Amsterdam gold and silver. Those are all great colors to use. I do love the Artist Loft metallic white though. I use that quite a bit, and it's great for creating cells. It creates a lot of very beautiful cells. So let's go ahead and get started with layering our cup. I've got my cup ready to go. We're going to be using about 13 ounces of paint in this cup, and it's a floating cup, so I've already prepped it. Might be hard to see that, but I poked a hole in my cup with an awl, and then I've covered it with a piece of tape. It's a tape tab, just a piece of Scotch tape, and really burnished that over the hole. So once I flip the cup, I will pull my tape tab, the paint will be released. The hole will release the vacuum in there. Air will get in, and the paint will flow out of the bottom of the cup. It's a super fun technique. I love this technique. I never get sick of it, and it really creates some very beautiful paintings. So let's go ahead and layer our cup and get going. So I'm going to start with my, let me move these over here. I'm going to start with my lighter colors first. Those will be kind of the last things out of the cup. Once you flip it over, that'll kind of be on top. So I'm going to start with our white. And I'm going to just do simple floating layers with these, nothing super complex. A little bit of the white, a little bit of our kind of champagne gold. I'm going to go with I think I'm going to go with our middle blue first. This is the phthalo black mix. Then I'm going to go with my dark one. This is the metallic blue and black, the darkest of all of the blues. And then I'll go with my kind of the green, the blue-green color. just like that. And I definitely want to add plenty of our kind of our golds and whites. So I'm just kind of switching around. And adding these in, I'm not overthinking the layering process. And our base coat, I'll even add a little bit of our base coat in there as well. Actually, I'm going to put a little more of a white on top. Put a little of our base coat color. I'm going to go back to this blue. You can tell it's probably very hard to see in the camera, but there are definitely color shifts between the three blues. I have all three layered right there. I have the darkest one, kind of the phthalo in black, and this is the base coat and then the phthalo. And what am I doing now? So I'm almost there at the top. So this is probably it, the last color. And that is our 13 ounces right there. Okay, so I'm going to move my big cup of paint over here. And let's add our base coat on top. So I'm just going to spread this out with my palette knife. And you can kind of tell what the color is. If I thin it out, you can see it's a beautiful kind of greenish blue color. I really like mixing these really dark blues together. So I'm just spreading a thin layer of paint on the base coat. Then I'll pour a little larger puddle in the center, and that's where I'll put our floating cup. And I did spritz the back of my canvas, so it's nice and tight, which I like a lot. Okay, almost there. I'm just going to move any excess paint I have towards the center. That'll kind of help create that pool of paint, because you need a puddle, kind of a little bit thicker puddle to add your floating cup to. And I'm going to put a little bit more in there. There we go. I'm going to just tilt that just a little bit, expand that puddle just a little bit there, so the paint is going to flow into this puddle. So the base coat is actually going to play a part and be integrated into those other colors. I've got quite a few air bubbles here, so I'm going to pop them. That looks pretty good. All right, I'm going to flip the camera now so you can get a little bit better view of the cup. Actually, I should probably flip it on there first. Let's bring this back. So we've got our layered cup. Paints are doing things inside the cup. They're kind of getting to know each other, which is nice. So I've got my little flipper tool here. I'm going to stick this right on top, flip the whole thing over. And this is the tricky part. I'm going to drop the cup into my puddle while I'm pulling off the my metal tool. So here we go. Pretty good. If a little paint gets out from under there, that's no big deal at all. So I'm going to just let that sit there. I'm going to flip the camera. And there we go. So you can get a little better view of the paint coming out when I pull my tape tab. Okay. All right, so my tape tab is right here, so you can get a good look at it. So let's go ahead and pull that off and release our paint. Here we go. And I'm just kind of elevating the canvas, slightly tilting it to allow that cup to float around a bit. And then at a certain point, it's going to want to settle. So we're going to give it a little hand, pull it up a little bit more and let some more paint flow out. And then we'll take a look at our center. So we've got a pretty cool center. I like what's happening in there. I don't think I want to mess around with it too much. We've got some cells happening, a bunch of cells coming up right here. Those are going to expand and grow. We've got a beautiful, big, almost like a negative space puddle over here of our blues, our different blues that are merging together. I really like that. So I'll let that sit there for just a second. But I really quite like what's happening. We've got a big eye right here. I don't know how I feel about that yet. So I might do a little bit of tilting and just expand our paint puddle. A little bit here. So I'm debating about this. In a way, I kind of like it, but it's such a big, like, bullseye. I'm not too thrilled with that. I'm going to flip the camera back too, so you can kind of get a top view. So, but it is a unique, interesting element. If I'm thinking of doing a little finger drag through that, just to break it up a bit, because it kind of, I don't know, it kind of bothers me. I think I might do that. So just subtly, I'm going to take my finger now. If you do that once, you should probably do it again, just for balance, so it doesn't look like a weird accident or something. Let's see. I kind of want to pull some of this blue through here. Oops. So that will change a bit as we start tilting. I'm going to leave it for now, though. We'll see. Maybe we could change it a little bit if we need to. But everything else is looking very interesting. So I'm going to start tilting over the corners now. I'm going to go over here first, I think. And slowly move the paint down there. I'm going to pour off that cell. I wasn't too thrilled with the way that one was looking. And this is we're on stage 2 of my tilting process. We're just going to be tilting and covering the corners and the edges. I'm going to go down to this one next, I think. And some of these cells are going to get tilted off. That's just kind of the way it goes. But there are plenty more on here, so I'm liking what's happening. Let's go down here next. And the 24K gold is really showing up. All right, this is the last corner. Okay. So we've covered our canvas. We've completed stage 2. We've covered the corners, covered the edges. Now we can do any fine tilt or fine tuning if we want to. And I think I'm going to tilt a little bit more. I love the dark areas over here. I think the cells are very subtle. I really like that a lot. We've got a big blast of brightness in the center, which I like, but I think I want to maybe tone that down a little bit. So I'm going to tilt a little bit of this off, I think. So I'm just going to move this back over here. And pour off some of this lighter area. Then we're going to move it back down. And one thing I don't like is it's all the way over in the corner there. So I'm going to tilt it just a little bit more. So the gold did what I thought it would do. It created these big, puffy, like 24 karat gold cells. Let's see. Well, I got myself into a predicament, I think. So I'm going to try to get myself out of it. I really like all of the subtle dark areas, but a big glowing golden orb here is a little too distracting. And even though I like those colors, it's not really working with everything else. So I'm just going to tilt it off. And this will be more of a subtle, darker painting. So I'm going to move this back down. I'm liking it a whole lot better. I'll show you in a second. Okay. So there we go. Now it's a much more subtle painting. And we don't have those bright areas in there. But I did not like what they were doing. I didn't like the way they looked. They didn't go with all the dark colors. So sometimes, you can't have your cake and eat it too, as they say. So I sacrificed all that stuff kind of to save the rest of the painting. And I really like what's happening in here. It's kind of the goal, the whole point was to get these subtle blending of all of these different blue colors, these blue shades, which we've done. It's more subtle and doesn't have those bright, doesn't have as much contrast, but I still like it quite a bit. So, and when that happens, it's going to happen. It's not going to turn out, the way you kind of envisioned it. So the great thing, though, is you can always do another one and try it again. But so I poured that part off. I really like everything else that's happening. It might be a little difficult to see all of the subtlety of this one on the camera, but I really, really quite like it a lot. Now, it's a very dark painting, so, it doesn't have tons of contrast, but you can have dark paintings if you want to. There's nothing wrong with that. All right. So if I was to do that again, I'd probably, and wanted a more successful, something that I was going for, I probably wouldn't have started with the white. I would wait with the white. I might add the gold first, but I'd go with the gold, then into some of the blues, then add the white later, so we don't have this huge white, spot on top, because that was like the bottom of the cup. So I'd write in my notes after I'm done, start with the gold, move the white to another layer, and you could probably get, I'm sure it would be a little bit more what I was thinking about. We get a better, different result for sure. So that is our demo. A little bit different than I was hoping, but it is capturing these beautiful different shades of blue, which I really was going after anyway. And we have some very crazy gold from the gold cells from the 24K silver mixture here. All right, so let's see here. I'm going to flip back. Any questions you might have about the colors or the mixture, feel free to answer them. I'm going to check and see if there's anything that came in earlier. And Veronica's asking, did I do anything special to get those cells? Yes, they were a mixture of 24K gold from DecoArt. So this paint creates lots of big cells. I used this and also a silver from DecoArt. So those two combined to create that more subtle champagne color. And those will usually create some pretty dramatic cells, but you have to be careful because they can take over your whole painting, which they were kind of trying to do there. All right. Cool. All right. Let's see here. And those, by the way, those 24K cells, they're not I don't love the way they usually look. So I like to temper that down with mixing another color in there. Some people love the way that 24K cells look, but they can be very overwhelming, kind of. So that's all a personal taste, though. Cool, let's see. All right, well, I don't see any questions. That was a pretty straightforward, quick demo. I hope you enjoyed it. And by the way, these cells might continue popping up. The 24K can continue to kind of move around for a little while. So if you come back later and your painting looks a little different, the 24K gold is just moving around in there, so, and altering your cells. But thanks so much, everyone. I don't see any other questions. And cool. Hey, Chris. Chris says it reminds her of the sky this morning at 3 a.m. What are you doing up at 3 a.m.? My gosh. Get some sleep. So, okay. Well, I don't see any other questions. And so, still a very cool painting. I'm very happy with it, actually. Even though it might not be your cup of tea, I'm excited to see how it looks when it's dry. And I'm definitely going to try this again with another painting, the same color palette. So, all right. Well, thanks so much, everyone. I will look forward to seeing you next week in our Friday demo. Have a great weekend. Do some painting. Feel free to share those in our acrylic pouring group, the Pouring Club. I look forward to seeing them. And I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, and have a great night. Bye-bye.